Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new, welcome to my channel. My name is Jackie and let's get started. For DIY number 1, I'm going to begin by using one of these fence panels from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take some of this plaster paint by Waverly and I just give it a nice dry brush, nothing too much. Now I'm going to take this flower pot and some more of this paint and I'm going to just dry brush around this whole pot all over the outside to help bring out some of the features until it looks like this. Now I'm liking the way it's looking a little older. I don't do the inside because you won't be able to see any of it at all. I'm just going to take some hot glue and one of these styrofoam floral foams, stick it inside, allow that glue to set. Now I'm going to take this fence panel and fold it, or should I say bend it, and hook it up to itself. It's got these little hooks, so it makes this round. Now I'm going to place this inside the flower pot, and I'm going to take some hot glue and I'm just going to anchor some of the points onto this flower pot, and I'm just going to hold it and allow all the glue to set. That way it doesn't just come off. Now I'm going to set it aside for a moment. In the meantime, I'm going to take one of these MDF decor pieces. This is a watering can made out of MDF, and I'm going to remove this ribbon and of course all the labels and everything. And now I'm going to take one of these LED fairy light sets from Amazon. I do like these better than the ones the Dollar Tree sells because number 1, they already have the battery, and number 2, the little battery compartment profile is much smaller and thinner, and it's easier to conceal in my projects. So I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to pull and create a few strands to make it simulate water, like the water is coming out of the can end. So here I'm just going to just keep pulling and creating these strands, and then I'll just take the same wire and kind of wrap it to help lock it in place, and like this. Now I'm pretty happy with this length. This is going to look so cute. Now I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to first do a little dab of glue and place my battery compartment on the back like this. See how thin it is? It's just fantastic. And I'm just going to place the wires where they'll fit the best. Now I'm just going to take a remnant piece of craft stick and a couple dabs of glue and placing this to help hold my wires, and I'll use some craft clamps to hold it in place and allow the hot glue to set. Now I'm going to add some hot glue to my floral foam inside the flower pot, and I'm going to take some floral moss, kind of give it a nice little covering. And now I'm going to take some florals, some beautiful spring florals, and I'm going to take these and cut them off their base and just kind of poke them where I think I want them, kind of like allow them to come out a little bit out of the pot, like they're just growing out. You know, springtime, gotta have some beautiful florals. That's part of what makes springtime so beautiful. So I also decided to use some of these purple ones. These I decided to leave them on their stem just for height. I'm just going to push them in, and that just gives it the perfect height. And then I'll add some more of these beige ones just for filler here and there until I get it to where I like it. And then finally, for just a little more filler, I decided to use some of this greenery, these greenery pieces here, these leaves and these grasses, all from the Dollar Tree, all that were in my stash, and I did remove them from their picks just to fill them in. Now here is my watering can, and I'm removing the clamps. Everything is adhered beautifully, everything is set. And I'm sorry that I'm a little bit out of frame, but I'm noticing here that the ends of my fairy lights are kind of like falling out and not staying on the edge. So I'm going to take another little piece of craft stick, add a little bit of hot glue, and placing it on the very edge to keep the ends in place. You can see right here. Now this will set pretty quickly. So here it is, nice and set. Now this will work much better. Now they'll stay. See? Great. So now I'm going to take one of these long bamboo skewers. You get these at the Dollar Tree, usually in the summertime for grilling. I'm just going to take one, and I'm going to figure out the length that I need by pushing it inside. Then once I figure that out, I'll take my miter shears and snip off a piece right here real quick. Now I'll take this piece and attach it to my little watering can with some hot glue right here, and I'll add another craft clamp to hold it in place. I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit out of frame. You can kind of see what I'm doing. Okay, right here, see? Allow this to set. Now in the meantime, I'm going to take some of the Waverly Antique Wax, and I'm just going to paint the rest of this bamboo skewer, this giant bamboo skewer. That way it'll be concealed a little bit. It'll look more natural in my flower pot. So we're just right here real quick, just a real light bit. I just don't want it to look so new and so obvious. And while I have it out, I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of antiquing on the watering can itself, because yeah, it needs a little antiquing where water would normally hit it and it would look a little rusted, right? So just a little bit here and there, nothing too much, just a little bit. And I'll just allow that to dry for a minute, and then I'm ready to add it to my flower pot. And I'll just stick it in to the styrofoam, turn on the light, and that is it. Super easy, and it looks like it's watering the plants, the flowers. For DIY number 2, I'm going to take a thick wood dowel and then this piece of a candy cane from my grandson's toy box. I just pulled it out of there. I'm sure he's not going to miss it. He's got a bunch of these from Christmas time. They're full of M&Ms or something. I'm just going to take my scissors and create a hole on the bottom side. That way I can add my wood dowel on here. Put it in there, fits great. So I'm going to go ahead and add some hot glue to get it nice and adhered and locked into place. And then I'll add some more hot glue to the very edge. That way I make sure it's nice and secure. I don't want this coming off. And I'm going to take some of the white paint and paint this whole thing like this. Now I'm not liking the way the two ends are looking, so I'm going to take some rope and I'm just going to conceal that with a little bit of hot glue, and I'm going to wrap where the two pieces meet together and just kind of wrap it around a few times, and then it'll give it a decorative look, and also it'll look more like it's one piece, and it won't look like I placed a candy cane to a wood dowel. So yeah, I think this will look just a little bit better. Okay, now I'm pretty happy with it. Now I'm taking this umbrella. This is actually a real umbrella, one of those ones that goes on your head. I used to use it for taking my doggies out in the summertime. It's here in Florida. It rains every afternoon. But when you bend down, it comes off your head. So not very practical. So I'm going to utilize this. And I'm going to add some hot glue. And then this wood dowel fits here perfectly. Allow that to set. And it doesn't take long. And now I can use this as my floral piece for my door. And I'm going to take some of these florals from the Dollar Tree. These are the real long stem ones. I just have to like bend the stems a little bit more just to get it to fit in there. And I kind of finagle it and do different variations of adding my florals. And here I'm just showing you the wisteria. So beautiful. So I'm just going to add these. and place them where I think I want them. But like I said, I kind of finagle them a little bit later on and work them a little bit differently. But you'll see in a minute how they end up looking. But I think this floral combination is very spring-like, and with the umbrella, I love this look. And I use this on my door for a good long while. Here are some of the spider plants from the Dollar Tree, just some pieces of it. And then just to keep it all together, I'm going to take this long piece of jute. It's like a jute ribbon. And I'm just going to tie it nice and tight and do a nice little shoelace bow to keep it all nice and tidy and in place. And then just kind of finagle everything. 4DIY number 3. I saw these at Hobby Lobby and I thought I would make my own version of them. So at the Dollar Tree I found these candle holders. They're almost the perfect style and shape. They're just white and I decided to just go ahead and paint them. So I'm going to use some of the Waverly chalk paint in the color Celery. I think it's just a beautiful color, a real nice light spring green. So I'm going to take some of that and paint them up real quick. And I just do the outside because you won't see the inside. Just like that. They are done. Super cute. Now I'm going to take some floral foam and just put some inside. I'm just going to cut this piece here. It's like a remnant piece that I had. I'm just going to cut it with my Dollar Tree tool and cut it down just a little bit more. And then add some hot glue to keep it in place, of course. And now I'm going to take some florals that I have. I have these mini roses and then some of these greenery bouquet, and I'm just going to snip everything off its base. And I'm just going to take my time and put everything inside of these candle holders. These are not vases, these are candle holders, but they're going to look exactly like the ones from Hobby Lobby. So I was so excited to do this one. So just here, I'm just going to take my time to kind of separate everything and gather it how I want. Now I'm ready to assemble, and here I've just added my hot glue, place my floral foam inside, and I just start adding my little flowers. I start with these mini roses. These are the purple ones. These will be kind of like my little thrillers. So I'm going to use thriller, filler, and spillers. It's like the usual 3 that you use for creating little flower arrangements or little bouquets. So here I'm just going to take my time to add everything. And once again, here are the Hobby Lobby ones, and here are mine. DIY number 4. Online, I saw this from the Hobby Lobby website and I thought, you know what? I could make something very similar with Dollar Tree items. So I'm going to take one of these wall vases from the Dollar Tree. It is made out of a galvanized metal. Very shiny though. And let me tell you, the sticker, it wasn't easy to come off. But thanks to my heat gun and a little bit of perseverance, it came off. I just had to be careful not to touch the galvanized metal because it heated everything up. So it was hot. But I just took my time and I was determined and removed it. And the rest I took it off with just some water. And then that was it. So now I'm just going to remove this piece. I will be using it again later, but for now I'm going to remove it. And I'm going to take some elephant chalk paint in this gray color and one of these little dabbers, and I'm just going to try to remove some of the shine from this wall vase. I don't want to do a full coverage, just trying to just dull it up just a little bit, not too much. And so once I get it to where I think I want it, I'll allow that to dry completely. And I get it to this point. I'm going to take some more of this floral foam, and I'm just going to cut it to place it inside of my wall vase. I take a little bit of hot glue, put one piece going one way on the inside, and take the other piece going the other way on the inside. I'll show you here real quick, like this. Now I'm going to take some florals. I have the succulents from the Dollar Tree, these here. I really like these because they're real bendable. And then I also have these here on these picks, on these alligator clips. And then this one that's in a little pot. I just remove everything out of its base and attachments. And then I just start adding them. And I'm just going to kind of bend everything to make it look like it's a natural way of growing. You know how florals, they just grow, they just have a natural little curve. So I get to this point. Now I'm going to add my jute twine back in, but I'm going to turn it around the other way. That way the knot's on the back and not the front. And then I don't show, but I add a little sticker to the inside, and I felt like I needed something else. And so I had a little succulent sticker, and I added that. And then I took one of these stickers, one of these decals from the Dollar Tree. This one says blessed. And I'm just going to add this to the very front of the wall vase just for more interest and a message. And then that is it. I'm pretty happy with how this looks. And again, this is the one from Hobby Lobby. And this is mine. DIY number 5. I'm going to take these little houses from the Dollar Tree. They are little ceramic houses. They come in a set of 3. I had them in my stash, so I decided to make a DIY for spring. And I'm just going to take some hot glue and some of this reindeer moss. This reindeer moss is very fragrant, very soft, very fresh. And literally all I'm going to do is add some hot glue to the roofs of these little houses. They're actually little tea light holders, and I'm just going to place a lot of this reindeer moss on top of them however they'll fit. And then I'll take my scissors and snip off all the excess on them, and just keep adding glue and just snip, glue, snip, glue until I get them all done. Here's my last one. Just snip, snip, give it a little haircut. Now this is a 2x4 that I painted white, and I felt like they'll fit on here perfectly as a base. So I'm just going to add some hot glue and place the one in the center and then the other 2 on the sides to make a little grouping like this. And now I'm going to take some embellishments. I'm going to use some of these floral moss stones and add some hot glue and kind of place some here and some there. Here's another one. And now I'm going to take some florals from the Dollar Tree, and I chose these white lilacs because I thought that they're so pretty and the way they stand up. So I'm just going to remove the tops off their stems, and I'm just going to take some hot glue and add them where I think I want them. One right here on the end, and then I'll take another one to place over to the other side. Here I'm just adding a little more glue to help anchor everything in place. Okay, here's my next piece. I'm going to add it back here, but it wouldn't stay. So then I decided to make a hole in that floral little stone right here. And I'm going to add it inside. And I'll use a little bit of hot glue to anchor it. Kind of press it in there. And that worked much better. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do to make it work. Oh, I think I ended up just cutting it down a little bit. It was a little too tall. Okay, so here we go. There's a little piece here, a little piece of lilac. And then I felt like the other stone needed the same thing, so I just repeated that same step to this last one here, this middle one. Get a hole and stick it in there. And then I felt like it still needed a little something, so I had these little stones from the Dollar Tree. I just took the black ones that were kind of flat and kind of fit them in this area here, this edge, make it look like a little path. And I just used some hot glue to adhere them all on the edges like this. And then I think I was done. I actually made one of these before with some floral moss as opposed to the reindeer moss. And so here's the one with the reindeer moss. And then here's the floral moss. For DIY number 6, I'm going to take this little clear box with its lid that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take some of the white chalk paint, give it a full paint. And I'm going to take this marker and I'm just going to do the edges with it to make it look like it's enamel. Now this little box was in the personal section of the Dollar Tree with the makeup to hold makeup sponges and things. So here's the lid, and I'm just going to use the lid as the bottom piece like this. So now I'm going to take these little buckets, these little party buckets from the Dollar Tree in the party section for weddings, and you get 2 in a pack. So I'm going to take 2 from one pack and then just 1 from the other pack, and these little buckets will fit inside this little box perfectly. I'm going to take the same marker and do the same thing on the edge to give it an enamel look. So I'll just go around the whole edge of these little buckets. Now I'm going to place them inside to make a little floral arrangement. I'm going to add a little bit of floral foam inside each one with hot glue. And I'm going to take some more of these mini roses. These are the ones in the pink. And I'm just going to snip off the little tops of them. I don't want these to be too long. So just little pieces, and then some of the greenery. And I'm just going to take my time to add them to the little buckets. Place them inside their little compartments. Use this white metallic marker to place on there a little message on one of the little chalkboards and adhere it with a little bit of hot glue. And that is it. For DIY number 7, I'm going to take one of these little crates from the Dollar Tree and my box cutter, and I'm just going to score where the score lines are with this box cutter. Try to be careful, and I do this on both sides. You guys know I like to cut these balsa wood crates. So here, I'll just cut them like that, and I'm gonna pop them out. They need a little help, so I'm gonna use some of these wood tools from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to kind of like poke it and like, I don't know, make a hole. Kind of pop them out. It works great though. I do get them through. So here I'm gonna pop this one out, and just like this, and then remove all the excess. We definitely won't be using any of that. And then I do the same thing to the other side till I have a crate that looks like this. Now I'm going to take a piece of 100 grit sandpaper to sand off and smooth up all the little edges that I cut. It just takes a second to get it nice and smooth. Make sure there's no splinters anywhere. Don't want that. Now I'm going to take some of the antique wax from Waverly, and I'm just going to go ahead and paint it up with that just real quick. Now I'll set this aside, allow it to dry completely. In the meantime, I'm going to take a pack of these mini clay flower pots from the Dollar Tree. They come 3 in a pack. And I'm going to take some of this white chalk paint, and I'm going to take a little brush, and I'm just going to paint them just very sparingly, almost like a dry brush, but not as thin, just a little bit more. And I do this to all 3 of them like this, a little bit on the inside. Now I'm going to take my brush, whatever's left on my paintbrush, and do a little dry brushing on the crate itself, just to give it a little bit of a rustic look, like it's been out in the garden for a little while. It's got a little bit of that aged look. And I'll put that down for a second. Then I'll take some jute twine, go back to my little pots, and kind of wrap a little bit of jute twine around the tops. Not too much, just a little bit. And I'm just going to add a little bit of hot glue to just lock everything in place. And using my silicone spatula so I don't burn my fingers. Now I made these little bows out of just some Dollar Tree ribbon, and I'll add them just for another bit of texture and interest. Now I'm going to take some of these pebbles from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to fill them all up with these little pebbles for some weight and also to hold my florals. Now, speaking of florals, I'll use some of these mini roses again. These are the ones in the yellow. And for these, I decided to cut them a little longer, not as short as the pink ones. I wanted these to have a little bit more height. So about this length, not quite the full length, but a little bit less. And I'll just add them to the rocks as well as some of the greenery, and that is it. For DIY number 8, I'm going to take one of these Dollar Tree trays made out of balsa wood, and I'm going to take some of the antique wax again and paint it up with it just real quick, and then I'll set it aside, allow it to dry completely. In the meantime, I'm taking these little bottles that I found at the dollar spot at Target for $3. I really like their look. I like the fact that they have that little bit of a tint, the greenish tint. I think they look pretty high end, perfect for spring. So I'm just going to take them out, and I'm going to take some jute twine. Again, I'm going to go for that little bit of a rustic look with the jute twine. And I really like the neutrals with the florals for spring. I think they're really, really pretty. So I'm just going to go ahead and just wrap it around right here. Go down and kind of wrap it around, give it a nice full look of jute twine, and then anchor it with some hot glue and snip off the excess. So now I'm going to take them, place them aside, and I'm going to take some more of this jute twine, and I'm going to wrap it around the handles of this little tray just to give it that cohesive look with the bottles. And I'm just going to snip off enough that I can go around and cover the handles. So just go like this, go around, and I do this to both sides until I get them both nice and covered. Snip off the excess and then tack it down with a little bit of hot glue until I get it to this point. Now I'm going to take my little lighter and I'm going to go ahead and burn off all these fuzzies. I noticed that this jute twine had a lot of little fuzzies. I don't mind it so much if it's a little bit, but this was a lot. So here we go. Got my little lighter from the Dollar Tree, nice and pink. And away we go. Burn off all these little fuzzies. Make it look a little bit more high-end and polished. And that burnt, scorched look is pretty. It gives a little bit of dimension and color. And the smell is nice. Yes, I like the smell. So I just go ahead and just remove all this. Like I said, I don't mind a little bit of fuzzy jute twine, but I wanted it all off of these bottles and this tray. So now I'm going to place my bottles in place. And I keep calling them bottles, but they're actually bud vases for little flower buds. So here I'm going to take some more jute twine and I'm going to wrap it around. I think I did a good 3 times or so. Nice and tight to create a little grouping. That way they don't just fall out of this pretty shallow tray. So I'm going to tie a nice tight knot and then anchor it with another knot and then create just a little shoelace bow. And I do leave the fuzzies on this little bow. Just you know, why not? Just for the heck of it. Now I'm just going to add some florals, and this time I'm going to go in with some of these wildflowers. I have all these colors, but I decided to go with the white. I will use the other colors for the next DIY. You'll see that in a minute. And so I'm just going to place them in the little bud vases, these little wildflower buds. I believe I did 2 little sprigs for each bud vase. And just kind of just put them in there. And then that is it. I think they look pretty full. Perfect for spring. Really pretty. And that is it. For DIY number 9, I found these kind of funny looking little vases at the Dollar Tree. This one had a pretty good little chip on there, but that's okay. We'll still use them. We're going to paint them up. So I'm going to take some white chalk paint and some baking soda. I'm going to mix them all up in this little container, this little dish. It's actually a soap dish from the Dollar Tree, but hey, it works great. And I'm just going to use this chalk paint here. I happen to have a nice pint of it or quart of it. So I got to utilize it, got to finish it up. And some baking soda. I'm just going to pour just so much in there. And I'm just going to mix it up with this spoon. This is just an extra spoon that didn't go with anything in our kitchen. So it's fine to DIY with just random pieces. So just mix it all up nice and well and smooth. And with this paintbrush, I'm just going to paint everything up. And this will get rid of all of the funny looking colors. And give it a texture to maybe look a little bit more like pottery of some kind. So I just go ahead and get them both painted up and allow them to dry completely. Now I'm going to take some painter's tape and I'm just going to go around the vases because I want to paint the bottom piece a different color, and I want to separate the 2 colors, do a little bit of color blocking. So like this. Now the fact that this has a little bit of a texture now, my lines won't be as crisp as I would like, but the fact that it does have a texture, then I'm fine with it. I'm not going to worry about it. That's just a spoiler alert. So here I'm just finishing up this last one with a little bit of tape. This one does go all the way around. Now I'm going to use some of this paint in the color Hazelnut by Waverly and then paint the bottom part and the underside and then just place them upside down to allow them to dry completely. Now here they are, nice and dry. Now I'm going to remove the tape. And I already told you, my lines won't be crisp, but they'll be good enough, I think. Yeah. You know what, some jute twine would have been good to go right on that line, but I sure didn't think about that. But yeah, that would have been a good fix. But anyway, this is the way I left them. Now I'm just going to add some florals for these. I had these extra cotton picks from the fall, and so I'm just going to snip them down a little bit because they're just a little bit too lengthy. And I'm just going to add those in my vases and give it that high-end look. And just place them inside. Maybe not exactly. This doesn't scream spring, but you can add other florals. I just happen to have these on hand, so it's what I used. But I think they look cute. For DIY number 10, I'm going to take 2 more of these crates from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take my box cutter and score the sides. It'll be all 3 edges on one side of each of these crates. So here you see me just scoring and scoring. I want to pull this piece out. So now I'm just going to push down my little knife because I did score quite a bit until just that piece just pops off like this. And I do the same thing to the other crate, and then I'll paint them both with the Waverly Antique Wax like this. Now I'll take some of this tacky glue by Aileen, and I'm just going to adhere them with this and a little bit of hot glue, tack it here and there, place them together, allow them to set for a second, remove any excess adhesive, and just allow this to set for a minute. Now I'm going to take some of the white chalk paint and do a little bit of dry brushing in different areas because I want this to look like it's been in the garden. They're just on the edges, on the sides. I do a little wiping with a paper towel, so I don't want it to be too thick. I don't want it to look uniform. I want it to look very organic and natural. Now I just set it aside. In the meantime, I'm taking these repurposed little glass jars that came from, I think, some olives or something. I don't know. And I'm just going to clean them up really well. And I'm going to take some jute twine and wrap them around with the jute twine. Just gives it a little bit of a finished look. Snip off the excess and tack it down with a little dab of glue. Press it down. I do this to all 5. Almost at 3. Now here I go with my little lighter, remove all the fuzzies real quick. Again, I just love the way this looks. I love the way it smells. I like the colors that come out. The scorched. Yeah, it's great. So here's my little double crate, and I'm going to take some Spanish moss and put down a nice base for these little glass jars to sit in. They all fit in there pretty perfectly. Unfortunately, the Spanish moss was a little bit too thick and they weren't very sturdy in there. So I'm deciding to add it to the sides instead. That way the jars themselves have a nice sturdy base to sit on. So I think that worked out pretty well. Now I'm just adding little bits of some floral moss just for contrast and a little bit of interest. And I do to both sides, of course, just to give it a complete look. So now I'm going to go ahead and add some more of this floral moss to the insides of my little jars because I felt like they needed something inside. And I'll be using the rest of the wildflowers that I had from the other DIY, the colorful ones. So they'll be long enough that they'll sit in here just fine without any floral foam. So I'll just use the floral moss. So here are my wildflowers. I have all these colors and these textures with the greenery. I just think they're just so beautiful. So I'm going to remove them off their picks, start putting them inside, and I do the purple and the pink and the yellow. I do still have some white, and I just add them in. And make sure to use some of the greenery. The greenery is so pretty. And here's the yellow. I think the yellow is so bright and cheery. So beautiful for spring. So here I'm just kind of like moving them around a little bit because I didn't have another color. So I decided to use more white for the two ends like this. And I'm pretty happy with this look. I happen to have some of these little twine carrots from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to add a few just to give it a little bit of another look. Kind of going into Easter now, but no, not really. It could still be spring because, yeah, bunnies, they're out there in the spring. It doesn't have to be Easter. So I'm just going to add some of these carrots in there like they're kind of growing out. And just kind of just putting them in. I don't really glue them. They stay there pretty fine. And then I had some of these little moss bunnies. So I'm going to add one to the inside of each side. And then I had another one left. And I decided to use a little bit of hot glue. And I just adhere them to the front. But you'll see that a little bit later. Now here I decided it needed a little bit something extra on the back. So I'm taking two of these flat wood pallets from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to take some hot glue and just adhere them together to create one longer piece. And I'm just going to take some hot glue and adhere it to the back side of this piece right here. And I'm just going to do a few little lines of hot glue here and place it on, allow this to set. Then I took some tumbling tower blocks, decided I wanted to give this little planter some feet. So I'm going to add one to each side right here, and then in the center as well for support. Oh, a couple in the back as well. A couple in the back, and then one in the center for support. And I think that just gives it a really cute look right here. And then one more in the very back. Just going the other way. I don't want it to stick out. And now this is looking really, really cute. I don't know, sometimes my DIYs, they just take on a different look than what I thought I wanted to do. So now I'm taking my paintbrush and just giving a little bit of a dry brush with the antique wax because it was looking a little too new. I like the contrast, but I didn't want it to be so drastic. And then finally I used some of the Dollar Tree wood letters to spell out the word spring for the front. If you're on Instagram, here's my QR code. I invite you to scan it and come follow me on there. I post on there Monday through Fridays, as well as TikTok. Here's my QR code for there. Here is my QR code for Facebook, also Monday through Fridays, as well as my Pinterest. Here's my QR code for there. And here's my Lemonade account as well. And my Threads account. This is my handle, also Monday through Fridays. Here's my Hometalk QR code. I invite you to come scan it. Post on there twice a month. I do have a Facebook crafting group. I invite you to come join us there. And I'd like to take a moment and say thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to watch my video. Hope you guys were able to receive some kind of inspiration or idea to create some pretty spring DIYs because we can't wait for spring. It's just such a happy, joyful time. Hope you guys did enjoy this video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet, and if you want to see more, definitely subscribe. Till my next video, stay healthy, safe, and strong, and have a great, great day. Bye-bye.